gamer show. Beep boop bop beep bop beep bop bop. Filler music. Beep bop beep up boop 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 boop. Opinions. Hot takes. Video games. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gamer Show with your host Harrison Putnam. That is I. It is today is August 4th, Thursday. So this is the show where I record nightly, but I air the official video on Friday mornings. Again, if you haven't seen the show, my main goal is to eventually get to the point where I can do it at like a morning show. But for now, I've got a typical 9 to 5, so that is just not an option unless I do it at like 5 a.m., which is I am not a morning person. So if it is in the morning time when you guys are watching this, good morning. Hope you have a glass of orange juice, glass of cup of coffee, a soda, energy drink. I have got me a nice Bacardi Mango as always, and we're just gonna have a very chill, vibey night. We got some stuff to talk about this week. Oh, do we have some stuff to talk about? Alright, get everything pulled up here. So, I have been playing a lot of Control. I know it's an older game, I guess. 2019 is when it came out. It got a bunch of Game of the Year awards. And I finished it, and I also beat both of the Foundation and the All DLC. I actually had the DLC prior to even starting the game. I think it was on sale, and it was like $5 for both of them, so I couldn't help myself. I had to pick it up, but I finally got through that. The main story of the game was pretty good. I won't do necessarily spoilers for the main story. Not that like it's pretty not convoluted story, but you really have to go back and listen to all the tapes and stuff like that you pick up throughout the world to really get the sense of the main overarching story. But I started out with the Foundation was the first piece of DLC, and that one shows you kind of going underneath the oldest house, or the foundation of the oldest house, however you want to call it. And there's something called the Nail, which I don't know. It's a plug to the astral plane. Stick with me here. That ends up breaking, and the astral plane is kind of leaking into the real world, which causes issues in the game. You get some cool new powers. You get the abilities to kind of raise, and it's marked in the game, but you kind of get to raise out these spikes out in the wall, or you can kind of do it from there's areas or patches in the floor where you can raise them up and kill enemies and stuff, and it's super fun. It really changes up the gameplay a little bit than the typical flying around and shooting and stuff. And you also have the ability to shoot the walls too, shoot the ground. There's a lot of like bridges in the game now where enemies will walk over and you can shoot it and they'll fall down. So that's super cool. So that's the Foundation. Again, I'm not going to spoil like any just main spoilers of it. And then the Awe DLC was the one that I'm excited for, and this is not necessarily a spoiler because it's literally in like the first minute of the DLC. But Alan Wake is in it. You go to the Bright Falls Awe event, which is really cool. They of course they incorporate the light mechanic into Control. You don't have a flashlight per se, but you can pick up a lantern or a light with your abilities, and there's goo and stuff that's on the wall that you have to shine the light on, and there's also like a really creepy monster that is not following you. You're kind of chasing it, but the rooms that it's in is complete darkness, and you have to solve a puzzle to get around the room, and then you're trying to lure it into this one specific area where you can try to defeat it. Really cool two pieces of DLC. I'm sure there's probably going to be another Control game. I imagine. Obviously, Remedy announced Alan Wake 2, which I am super excited for because it's going to more of a survival horror route versus the first one was kind of like a survival horror, but not really. It wasn't like a traditional Resident Evil style thing. So I'm excited that they're going in that direction. So Control, great game. Um, I think I'm going to pick up Xenoblade 3. We were discussing that game on my gaming podcast, Gaming with the Broscast. My brother is loving it. The story wise, it's fantastic. You don't have to necessarily know anything about the first two, which is great. Because I tried playing the first one and kind of fell off pretty hard. I want to eventually go back, but you know how that goes, right? So and the story is interesting. There's a large party. There's a lot of characters, and he says that they kind of incorporate them to the story very well. So that's really good to know. So yeah, I'll probably pick that up at some point. My kids are going to the beach with their grandparents next week, so that may be when I pick it up, just so I can kind of go out into the living room, lay on the couch, and just vibe out and play versus kind of being stuck in my office. Excuse me. And forgive me if my voice goes in and out. I work for a call center all day, so I'm talking literally all day. So, but if you guys are this far into the show, please give it a thumbs up. Over on if you're over on YouTube, obviously, that would be most grateful. I really want this show to take off, and I love doing this every week. Just kind of just talking about games and stuff that I want to talk about. So next up, we're gonna watch I have not seen the new Star Wars Andor trailer, the prequel to Rogue One, which Rogue One was an excellent Star Wars movie, and I really liked Solo as well. Some people kind of it's hit or miss for them, but anyways, I finished up. I've been watching the Clone Wars. I finally watched all 7 seasons, and I was not prepared. Obviously, we know how the Clone Wars ends. We know Anakin turns into Vader. We know all these Jedi die. We don't know. Well, obviously we do, but because there's another show, but we don't know necessarily what happens to Ahsoka throughout the whole show. When it first aired years ago. So I am super excited. I think the Clone Wars is S tier when it comes to Star Wars. I think it's one of the best ways to watch Star Wars. It's absolutely incredible. The final episode when they're getting ready to initiate Order 66 and the music is so dreadful and it's so great. It's absolutely like a masterpiece of storytelling in a TV show. It's just that incredible. If you're I just became I've always watched Star Wars stuff. I haven't watched any like the cartoons and stuff, but I've watched all the movies. I want to go back and watch the sequels to see really how bad those are because the prequels I think are really good. I think I almost like them better than the original, which is I know it's kind of blasphemy, but I really like those. I really like those characters, Um, so yeah, I'm really excited to. Obviously, I started the Bad Batch, and I'll probably watch. Well, I'm definitely gonna watch Rebels, and then go from there. So, yeah, huge Star Wars fan now. I can't get enough of it. Last weekend, as I take a sippy sip of my drinky drink, I went to GalaxyCon over in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's kind of like I've never been to a con before, but it's kind of like a. You can see me open this box. I'm getting to this here in a second, but it's kind of like a mini Comic Con is what I would imagine it is. It's in this big event center, and just tons of kiosks and booths, and they had celebrities like Giancarlo Esposito, Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. Um, I can't remember his name in The Mandalorian, but the guy that wields the dark saber. Um, he was there, so I got to see him in person. I didn't get to meet him because I forgot that there was probably going to be paid autographs, and sure enough, he was like $70 to get an autograph. When I'm not going to pay that. I really wanted to meet Christopher Sabat, the voice actor of Vegeta. I brought my Dragon Ball Fighters game to get signed, but his line was just insanely long all day. And I did pick up an Ahsoka Funko Pop because she's definitely the best, my favorite character in the show. But I tried to get it signed by Ashley Eckstein, that does the voice acting for Ahsoka in the show, and yeah, she was like $100 for a signature, so I couldn't justify paying that. So, but I did get a Dragon Ball Z mystery box, which is super cool. I got like a blanket, a cup, and some other goodies and stuff. But all in all, it was a super great time. Definitely going to go next year and dress up. I don't know exactly what I'm going to dress up as, but it's going to be cool. I'm excited for that. All right, so moving on. Let's go ahead and watch. Let's pull up the Star Wars Andor trailer and watch that real quick, if you guys don't mind, of course. All right, so let me just make sure. All right, so the sound's on. All right, switch over. Let's watch it. You guys cannot see it. Hold on. There we go. I like the color of the show.
To steal from the Empire? To just walk in like you belong? They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me would ever get inside their house.
Cassian Andor. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this.
I like
Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting.
You're in my net. Are you a fish? Or are you a thief?
You're slipping.
I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long.
As long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
This is what revolution looks like.
I'm tired of losing.
Artistically, 3-episode premiere. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, artistically it just looks so much different than the movies and stuff, which is really cool. All right. Let's get back to it. So, next up we've got the Pokémon Presents presentation video, however you want to call it. Got a little trailer for the game. Super weird. Well, it was more than just Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. They had some Pokemon Unite stuff, Pokemon Go stuff, Pokemon Cafe Remix, Pokemon Masters, which a lot of people thought that was going to be the Pokemon Let's Go, like Silver and Gold. So I think that threw a lot of people off. But we're really just going to talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet because that's kind of the most important. So we got to look at the two legendaries, the motorcycle legendaries that you ride on. So I imagine you probably get them pretty early in the game if you're riding on them. As your main transportation. Um, they both have wheels, but one totally runs, so it's super weird. Sorry, my nose is kind of running here. Uh, but yeah, the trailer looked pretty good. We got to look at a couple of new Pokemon. They showed off the gimmick of the game, the terrestrial phenomenon where the Pokemon terrestrialize, which they get. Dude, it's super silly. They get like the actual physical thing it does is cool, but like they get giant jewels on their head. It looks like totally bizarre. Which I'm not taken aback by. It's Pokemon. They always do something really weird. So this just kind of falls in that category. But I mean, yeah, it changes up like the move type, so you can have two. You can have Pikachu like electric and flying. So that's pretty cool. It adds a unique spin to the game. Especially adds like a cool option for PvP. And much like the Mega Evolution stuff, once per battle, and you have to kind of recharge it using like some crystals that you find on the ground or something like that. Or if you go back to a Poke Center, you can heal up and recharge that meter. They showed off the 4-player co-op, I believe. How the trading and battling works. We're still not quite sure. The gyms do not scale with you, so you can go to one gym that's really hard and then go to another gym. So I don't know how it if there's maybe a slight bit of scale, like maybe they have a I don't know. I feel like we need to know more about that scaling because I don't want to necessarily be able to steamroll something, the fourth gym I go to because I'm so much more powerful. I don't think that would really work that well in a Pokemon game. Obviously, when there's scaling, when you get to certain areas in most Pokemon games, like you'll eventually get to the areas with level 40 Pokemon and beyond, and then you can go back to the first town and there's level 3 Pokemon. So that makes sense. But with the gyms, I don't know how that's gonna work. That seems a little bit strange to me. But it is cool that you can tackle it in any order you want to, for the most part. So that's really cool. So yeah, it looks good. I loved Pokemon Arceus. I think it was a refresher for me with the Pokemon series. Obviously, I did not like Sword and Shield that much. It was super stale. And then Diamond and Pearl came out, and gosh, yeah, I played a few hours of that and just immediately dropped it because it was so boring. It was insanely boring. So I'm excited for it. It'll probably be a day one for me. I may even get the dual pack and play with my wife and play some co-op. I think that could be really cool. I've got multiple Switches. So we'll see. I think it'll probably be a day one for me. So that's super cool. Excited for Pokemon. I feel like Pokemon does this to me every single time. I don't plan on getting it, or I'm not super hyped, and then when it drops, you don't want to miss the zeitgeist. So, it is what it is. Next up, we've got the Nintendo financials. It's always an exciting time to see that. They announced that Nintendo Switch has sold a little over 111 million units, which just to kind of in 6 years, so just to kind of compare to the other two, which is Game Boy at 118 and Nintendo DS at 154. So obviously COVID, we had some chip shortages, but I feel like and their sales are down a little bit. I think about 4.5% versus the last quarter. But I mean, I see, I go to Walmart, Target, I see Switches everywhere. Where I never see PS5. I still haven't seen any Series X's in the store, but I have seen a ton of Series S's. So I think it's starting to get better, which is awesome. But again, I see Switches everywhere, even the OLED model. So that's really cool to see. Forgive the water in the background. I am in my basement, but yeah, so it's sold 111 million units. It'll probably, I doubt it'll reach 120 by the end of the year. Um, but it may get pretty close to the Game Boy, and then by this time next year it'll probably surpass the Game Boy. I don't know if it's going to get to the DS at this point. Depending on the heavy rumors of obviously the Switch Pro and whatever that's going to be. People are thinking it's going to launch along with Zelda. Uh, I think we're still probably maybe 2 years away, or maybe it doesn't launch until the end of next year. People are the heretics are cramming for the Switch Pro or Switch 2 or whatever you want to call it. I'm fine with my OLED now. I think every game that's launched on it has been excellent. All of Nintendo's, and that's why we play Nintendo games, right? They're always polished. They always work well. Breath of the Wild has issues, obviously. It's a massive game. But Mario, Kirby, all that stuff runs really well. There's some issues with Kirby, and with the birds in the background. I understand that it's literally going, the wings are flapping at like 2 frames a second. I get it. But for the most part, first party Nintendo games are optimized extremely well. They always make their games not only look great but run well. So I have no problem with waiting for what's next, because I just got an OLED next year, and B, I'm fine. I don't. Yes, is it underpowered versus everything else? Sure, but everything still runs great on the Switch now, so I'm okay with waiting. Some people aren't, though, apparently. Kirby has sold, I believe. Let's see. 4.5 million total, which is the second best selling in the franchise. So, I mean, Kirby the Forgotten Lands was an excellent game. That's the first Kirby game I really dug into and completed. Other than that, I really haven't touched much of Kirby at all. So, I'm hoping whatever they do next for Donkey Kong, it kind of gives me that energy too. I need to go play Tropical Freeze, but I know it's a good game, but I need to try it. But hopefully, whatever they do next with Donkey Kong kind of gives me that vigoration for the franchise. Switch Sports has sold 4.8 million, which is not surprising. The sequel to, or the continuation of the sports franchise. I think at this point, not I think, I know I'm done with any Nintendo sports games. They're always such weak in content at launch that I cannot do it anymore. The Switch Sports was $40, so it was already kind of that budget title. They got golf coming here in a couple months, so I may try that when that jumps back up, when that drops. But yeah, but I mean, good for that. I figured that would probably sell pretty well. Mario Strikers has sold 1.91 million copies, almost at 2, second best selling in the franchise again. Again, Mario Strikers, I'm glad I skipped it because so many people are complaining about the lack of content. So, but I played the demo. The gameplay itself is super fun. So, I don't know what it is with these sports games that Nintendo cannot get right. Which kind of makes me a little bit nervous for Splatoon, because that's how Splatoon 1 and 2 both launched, like kind of content lacking. But hopefully we get a really awesome story mode. Hopefully the salmon run is great and really fleshed out. So we got some cool stuff. I think that Splatoon 3 will be quite all right. I think that's about it for financials. I don't think they gave an update on Metroid, which is weird. I thought that maybe we would get maybe it just didn't surpass 3 million, because I think it was like at 2.7 or 2.8 when we last got an update. So that kind of makes me sad, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, moving on here. We got Capcom's Q2 financial reports. Good old Capcom has been absolutely killing it with all their games. Let's see here. Devil May Cry 5 across the board has sold 5.7 million units, which is good for that franchise. Almost at 700,000 since March of last year. Street Fighter 5 has sold 6.6 million copies, which is great. Since that game launched, it It got a huge backlash again. It didn't have story mode, just kind of launched with a lack of content. Resident Evil Village has sold 6.4 million units across the board, which is awesome. I'm sure it'll get a little bit of a push or increase in sales when they drop that gold edition. So I'm excited for that. I think it's $20 for that DLC if you buy it standalone or if you've already got the game. Let's see. Monster Hunter Iceborne or World Iceborne, whatever, has sold 9.5 million copies, which is incredible for Monster Hunter. It's really kind of just taken the gaming industry by storm. It's really kind of, I mean, it was already a pretty popular franchise, but it was more niche. But now it's kind of, getting into the masses, which is cool. You always like to see franchises do that. That's what Elden Ring did from Software. Those games always sold pretty well, but Elden Ring just crushed it. Let's see here. Monster Hunter World in general, so not Iceborne, not the expansion, has sold 18.3 million copies. Insane. It's absolutely crazy. So roughly half of people that own Monster Hunter World own the expansion, which is great. 50% attachment rate is great. Resident Evil 3, the remake, 5.4 million copies, which is awesome. That game was a really great remake. Kind of sucked that they cut the clock tower out of that. But it was one of those games where it was so short you could beat it in an hour and a half. So replaying that game, I probably beat that game 4 or 5 times. It was just a lot of fun to go through that. And then last update, Resident Evil 2. The remake Resident Evil 2 sold 9.8 million copies. So that will probably, I would imagine, I don't know if it's going to sell. They sold 200,000 more copies since March 31st of last year. So probably some sales push the numbers. I'm sure it'll probably get a little bit of a boost with the current gen updates that it got, that Resident Evil and Resident Evil 7 got. So that's really cool. So good for Capcom. Capcom has just absolutely been killing it with all their games. They seem to not make a bad game here in the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm curious to see what Monster Hunter Rise is at. They didn't give us an update on that, or at least one that I saw. So yeah, either way, it's super cool. Let's see here. Moving on. It was mentioned that Elden Ring has had the biggest gaming launch on YouTube, which is insane. So Elden Ring has had 3.4 billion views on its first its first 60 days of release. So, across all the content creators making videos, making shorts, my brother and I uploaded a ton of Elden Ring content on TikTok, and it blew up. We had multiple videos get 10,000+ views, which is not necessarily normal for us. So that was super. It was a zeitgeist. It was a time that I genuinely missed because everyone was just kind of collectively together playing one game and having an absolute blast and just discovering, all these, weapons and armor and stuff like that through TikToks and shorts and stuff like that. So, yeah, Elden Ring. Again, I think that's probably going to be my game of the year at this point. I'm obviously going to play some Xenoblade. God of War, I'm probably going to pick up. I don't know if I'm going to get a PS5 this year, but I will definitely pick it up on PS4 and maybe eventually upgrade it to PS5. So I think that's the only other game I think that could be on that level with Elden Ring. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be an incredible game. I mean, God of War 2018 was insanely good, so I'm sure this will be hopefully on par or better than that. So, but yeah, they also kind of broke down so Margit the Fell Omen was kind of the number one boss mentioned by Upload, which is interesting. That's the first boss in the game, so that makes sense, and then the Upload by character class was the Samurai class, which is really cool. And then just a comparison, on you know GTA 5 at launch views comparison. Um, and again, I think all these games have way more views than Elden Ring, but we're just talking launch. If I didn't mention that at the very beginning, GTA 5 had 1.9 billion views. Red Dead Redemption 2 1.4, Mario Odyssey 828 million, and Breath of the Wild 638 million. So just crushed it, absolutely crushed it as far as views goes on YouTube for that launch. So really cool. I'm glad. I'm glad that Elden Ring has just crushed it because I love FromSoft. They're incredible, and rumors are they are getting close to being done on whatever their next game is. So I don't know. Well, I'm excited. And then the last bit of news this week, guys. Game Pass has they launched the kind of a beta or like a soft launch of its like a Game Pass sharing. It's only in Colombia and Ireland at this point. So just very very small percentage of the world. But it's kind of like Nintendo's family sharing service. Where they didn't give a price point. I imagine it'll probably be 25 to $30 a month, and then you split that amongst, three or four friends, however many people they allow in the program. I think it might be four. So, and I think in terms of like pricing, I think it's probably going to be, if you do that, it's probably going to be cheaper than what you would pay individually a month. So that's really cool. Yeah, I think they just want to get Game Pass into as many hands and gamers as possible. Game Pass, I'll stick by it. It's fantastic. It's such a great service. There's so many games that I played, so many games that I would not have played without it, or missed out on, or would miss like the launch week or something like that. So yeah, Game Pass is cool. I don't think we know when it's gonna come to the States or any other country, but we shall see. Excuse me. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I really appreciate you guys watching the sticking here when it's live and watching the VOD when I load it up in the morning. It'll go live. I believe I have it set for 7 o'clock on Fridays to go live. So it's up there super early. So that way, again, it's my goal is for it to be a morning show. So that way, when you wake up, turn it on as you're getting ready, or if you work from home, you can have that in the background. Depending on how the show goes and how many people like it and watch, I may add more segments to the show. And of course, I'll take any sort of criticism. I'll take, any comments in the comment section below. Let me know what's going on. Let me know, if any of this news excites you. If you prefer more of like a dual cast, I have a podcast, Gaming with the Bros cast, that I mentioned previously with my brother, that we do every Monday at 8:30 on Twitch. It's again Gaming with the Bros cast. If you want, we'll probably talk about the same news that I discussed, but this show is very laid back, very chill. So again, I appreciate everyone if you made it this far, give it a thumbs up. Might as well, right? Give it a thumbs up. Comment below. Subscribe if you can, if you want to. Obviously, it's free. It would help me out tremendously, and I will see you guys next week.